just want to establish these relationships between the actors and the directors here. And hopefully we're going to do this more and more as we go on. I just want to bring someone up to kind of show you what we're going to be doing. And then, so that you guys have a sense of it, the directors have a sense. So let me have Stephanie come up, and
that's not what you should do, by the way.
Do you have another script with you? Okay, and can I have someone read what Stephanie? Have a volunteer, actors? All right, come on up.
Carpe diem.
So, well, I would caution you guys, for those of you who haven't done casting before, do you know specifically kind of what a casting director does? Do you guys know what they do? Because I'm always surprised, because generally, whenever I do this, people don't know what a casting director does. Do you guys know what they do? Anyone?
What's the obvious?
What do they do? They direct the casting, right? A casting director. So we always say, they're the kind of director here.
They find actors and suggest actors that they think would be right for the role?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Basically, you know what I was saying before, there's 8 million actors in New York, and if I was trying to audition 8 million actors, it'd be very difficult and take me a really long time. So when people audition actors, they want to audition just the best actors. They don't want to audition 8 million actors. So I'll get hired by a production company generally, or an ad agency. Usually it's one or the other. So the creatives, or the people the people who came up with the concept, or the people that are going to do it, the people that are actually going to make the concept. And they hire me and they say, we're looking for, the most charming, funny, interesting 20-year-old actress that you can find, and bring them in. But if I tried to bring in every 20-year-old actress in New York, like I said, I'd be casting for days and days and days. So my job, and the casting director's job, basically is to take all of these actors and whittle it down, whittle it down, whittle it down, whittle it down, until we find the absolute best person for that role. And sometimes I have a lot of influence on what the director's going to do, because I might know someone. I might say, William Walker, that dude's awesome. I auditioned him before. Give him a shot. Redirect him. Work with him. And if directors are very collaborative, which some of them are, they're going to take some advice from their casting director, and they work really closely. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes I work with a director who couldn't care less what I say. They just want me to compile the best people to come in and audition. And I take that very seriously. And you should as well. Because if you're an actor and you go for an audition and I feel like you're late, you're unprepared, you didn't read the script, you come in, you're lazy, I'm not going to call you in next time. And like I said, you're probably not going to get the job anyway. So you want me to call you in over and over and over and over again, right? And like I said, if I work really well with the director, I'm going to refer actors to that director. If you piss me off, you're not going to be on the short list of people that get referred to directors. And I just want actors to kind of be aware of that, to understand that about the process. I'm just trying to make this big mess of people into the one great person. Sometimes it takes a long time. I've worked on feature films that take a year to cast, and then I've worked on commercials where they're like, we need someone this afternoon to shoot this afternoon. So sometimes it's very fast, sometimes it's not. It's different every time, but actors should kind of always approach it like this could be something potentially good for you, right? All right, so you have a question?
Do you have like a team of people?
What, the casting director? Generally, I work with other companies, so usually there'll be someone helping to prep the job, to cast the job. I like being in the studio, so I do a lot of the actual hands-on casting of the job. It depends. Some projects I've worked with many different people. Some projects I've worked on my own.
It's still like gig to gig though for you.
Yeah, it pretty much is. When I was doing commercials, I worked in one commercial house for 7 years, so that's really where I kind of cut my teeth working there. But then when I went out, each job is different that I work on.
How do you end up dealing with the filtering the actors to get the best one?
Well, the first thing you're going to do is deal with talent agents, right? So all of you who are actors at one point or another are going to need an agent. You just can't get enough auditions on your own to make the numbers work. Generally, I'm calling agents. So say Lindy was an agent, I'd call her up. I'll say, I'm looking for 20-year-old, amazing, funny, smart, cute actresses that can improvise. She's going to go through her list of clients that she has that fit that. But she's going to try and get in every one of her clients. Because her as the agent, she doesn't care if you get the job or you get the job or you get the job. She needs one of her clients to get the job because that's how she gets paid. So she's going to try and get everyone in. But I'm going to look through her list and go, because like I said, although there's a million actors, if you've been auditioning in New York City for television commercials in the last 10 years, I probably met you. So I'm going to go through the list that she sent me, and I'm going to say no, no, hell no. Oh yeah, she's good. Good choice. No, terrible. And I'm going to pick the people off. The process is all this whittling down. So I'm going to pick people off her list that I think fit what I think is right for the role. So I'm not going to see everyone that she sends. So generally I'm working with talent agents. Also, I've auditioned a lot of different actors, so I know kind of who I want to see for each thing, at least initially. Then, let's say you're an unproven quantity. You're brand new. You're an actor who just came to New York. You're 18 years old. I haven't met you. You want an agent that is going to say, Roger, you should meet this person because they're great. And they're funny and they fit your spec. And then I'll call you in. And then if I call you in and you don't live up to the casting, I'm going to call that agent and say, what the hell did you just send me? That person's a mess. And so they're going to be very careful about who they send to me. And in turn, I'm going to be very careful about who I see. So it's that dealing with agents, dealing with managers, dealing with actors. I used to go to showcases constantly. I used to just try and have the biggest database of people that I could pull from, so I'm always finding the best people. And that's what keeps me hired as a casting director. That's what your reputation is based on. I want to be able to bring in 30 actors and have a director be able to close his eyes and go like that and pick someone, and that person will be right for the role. They might not be perfect for the role, but they might be right. So I'm very careful about bringing in the absolute best people for each part. You're going to need an agent eventually. So that's where you're going to have to go out and get an agent to be interested in you before you get into the door of most casting directors. That's the way it goes.
Do you get to pick the last one or the director of the...
Usually it's a handful of people that pick. There's always this kind of idea that some people think a casting director picks the person in the part. Very rarely. Usually it's a combination. Generally, in the best case scenario, the best person will just stick out like a sore thumb. And everyone that makes the choice, which would be the writer, the director, the producer, the main client. So like, you know, if you're doing a movie that Paramount is producing, Paramount eventually is going to be able to say yay or nay on you. But usually there's a lot of different cooks making that decision. The more power a director has, the more their choice is going to be the number one choice. But usually it's a combination of elements, a combination of people coming together. And like I said, some directors really value my insight, some couldn't care less at that point, and they're going to pick someone that they like. You know? But usually the best person, in my experience, or the best couple of people will stick out in the audition, and it's usually because they did something that no one else did. Because I'll bring in 99 actors, and 98 of them will do a similar job, and then there'll be one person who did something you're like, oh, I didn't think of that. That's interesting. Or you know, like usually it's someone that just kind of rises up above. And the best casting job is when there's a consensus, when the writer, director, producer, casting director, where everyone's like, that's the guy. That's the perfect person for this.
All right, Raj.
Did you have a quick question before I do this?
No response.
He's had his hand up for like 20 minutes.
Okay.
What are the routes to getting into an agency? I mean, where would you start?
I tell people by any means possible. There's no one path to getting an agent. You really want to do whatever you can do to get an agent as an actor. Usually you're using friends, you're using connections. The best thing an actor can do is work. Create work. Work on student films. Produce your own plays, produce your own films, because work begets work. Actors that just wait for someone to hire them will they will work much less than someone who creates their own work. If you're good, if you create a lot of work, if you hustle, if you use your connections, if you're talented, it will eventually come together for you. But you should get an agent any way you can. Rob, steal, whatever you can do. Okay? Okay, cool. Let me just show you guys how we're going to do the process so you have a sense of it. Also, what I would encourage the filmmakers, obviously look at the people that are on stage. But for the most part in a real casting, at this level of the casting, you're not even going to be in the room. You won't even be there. It'll be me in the room videotaping them. I call everything tape, even though it's not tape anymore. But I'll put them on camera and generally send the audition to the filmmakers. to watch that initial audition, usually you're not there in the room in most castings, which is probably different than how you would normally do it at school. So what I would encourage you to get used to doing is not watching them on the stage there unless you're casting a play. In which case I would say watch them on the stage there. But I'm going to put on this monitor because I think it's much more valuable for you to look at the actors here and to see them here, because that's how you would actually see them. If you were casting them, you wouldn't see them here. Like I said, unless you were doing a play, then you would see them in this scenario. Okay? I'm going to ask you to just come off and sit here for me for a sec. And Steph, why don't you just stand for me for a second? Okay?
Oh, sweet God.
You don't want to see it.
Slide over for me.
Why is she not ready?
You're going to face her.
She knew. This is coming.
Experimental piece, I'm gonna talk to your back.
So, as an actor, it might be helpful for you to not look at yourself in the monitor.
You definitely don't want to be looking at yourself in the monitor. So Steph, let's look down to the camera. Okay, there we go. So this is how I would initially do it. Tell me your name.
My name is Stephanie Foltz.
Okay, and then we're going to do
Slate.
like the quick little, this camera's not as easy as some would be, and I got to put the autofocus on. But generally I'm going to wide out so that we kind of see her body, her physique. That's what you would generally do. And the reason I do this, the reason I do this is not to embarrass Stephanie, although that's fun. The reason I do this is because I want you as actors to get used to the gaze of the camera being on you, and people are going to look at your body. And often I'm going to tell people certain things that I want in this slate, this introduction. So I might ask you, turn profile, turn the other way. If it's a watch commercial or something, I might say to show me your hands. There might be certain things I want to see in the slate. And you as the actor have to get very comfortable. Because if you're up there and then you're like this, and you're very prim and proper, and I know Stephanie, she would never stand like this. Never, never, never. It's automatically unnatural right from the beginning. So I want you to get really used to the camera being on you and for you to be really natural in that environment, right? Okay, so tell me your name again.
My name is Stephanie Foltz.
Thanks, Stephanie. Where are you from?
I'm from Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio.
Is there a lot of great actors from Cuyahoga Falls?
Cuyahoga, it means Crooked River,
Okay.
Native American. And Native American, that's the right word?
That's appropriate.
Yeah, I guess, you know, everyone comes from Ohio, so usually there's a lot of us.
Okay, cool. Right, I'm just trying to get some personality from her, and you as the actor, I think when someone is interviewing you, you don't want to put it on necessarily because it might be different from what you normally are. And what I mean by that is I don't want to say, tell me where you're from, and you're like, I'm from Ohio, it's the best, because you might not necessarily respond that way. And I just want you to be really natural. I'm really just trying to get some personality from you in that scenario. So that generally, that's what I'm going to do tonight too, is interview the actor for, you know, a brief second, and then have a seat. And guys, just so you know, when I'm casting someone, usually when we do the first read of whatever I'm casting, I usually give it to the actor. And by that I mean I won't direct you. I want to just see what you're going to do. And I encourage you to make choices in that first read. Because if you make choices in the first read, when I do the second read, I'm going to get to be a little bit more specific with you, right? But if you give this very general, blah performance on the first read because no one told you what to do, you know what's going to happen when they're watching the casting tape? Fast forward to the next person. And no one's even going to get a chance to see your second take. And I don't tell you that to scare you. I tell you that so that you understand you want to go in there with choices, being creative, so that your first take brings something to it. Because generally I'm not going to tell you to do something on the first take. I want to see what you're going to do, right? Then on the second take I'll give you 2 takes and that's usually it. You know? That's usually it in the first round of casting, and that's probably what we'll do tonight as well, is just each person will get 2 quick takes with the script. But bring something to it, you know?
And Raj,
Yes.
not to take too much time, but which one is right? And you don't need to tell me why. If you need to know why, meet me after so I can smack you. My name is Stephanie Foltz. My name is Stephanie Foltz. Which one's right? There you go. Good job.
Yay.
And if you need to know why afterwards,
She's mean.
I'm fine.
All right, she's very mean.
Tell me
Okay.
tomorrow.
I'll see you at work.
So, let's try the script, okay? All right, guys, so let's just try the script and we'll watch it. Here we go. And quiet, everyone. Action.
Hi,
Hello.
how's everything?
Fine. I guess.
Do you know what time it is?
No, not exactly.
Don't you have a watch?
Not on me.
Well,
Well, what?
what did you do last night?
What do you mean?
What did you do last night?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I said nothing.
I'm sorry I asked.
It's all right.
Excellent. Nice job. Excellent. Very good. Very good. Okay. She brought something to it I think is not necessarily in the script. Who's a director in this room? Someone I hope is a director. You're a director in this room. So give me something else for her. Give me another motivation for her in this scene.
Like to make it a different feeling.
Yeah.
Can you do it less aggressive and more nervous?
We're nervous? I can do that for you.
Okay. Cool.
The answer is always yes.
Yes.
Answer is yes. And I, just to respond to that, and everyone has a different style. There is no right and wrong. Everything I'm telling you right now, someone else can tell you tomorrow that is completely wrong. So take everything with a grain of salt. You're going to do your own style. I avoid things like you're nervous, you're angry, you're